I
warned.
Hello and welcome to the Power of You.
Welcome.
Yeah, I got no excuses. I got no excuses.
I don't need no badges.
Don't need no. Hey, that's what we're talking about today is excuses.
Yes, we are. When we got them.
I meant to do it, but
Yeah, everything.
I said I would, but
everything but excuses.
We got excuses.
Oh yes.
So this is all about leadership, and the dive that we do each week on this is nuanced. I mean, just what are some things that leaders do? What are some things that kind of derail the process? All of that sort of stuff. So that's what we're looking at here, and excuses can get in the way pretty quickly if we're not paying attention. So,
oh my goodness,
Dr. White, take her away.
My goodness, here we go. Well. So, when we talk about the mistakes, I love you attack the excuse instead of diagnosing the condition, which is, I think, there's that defensive moment.
Yep.
Right. I'm going to defend where I'm at. So therefore, I'm going to deal with we're going to talk about that excuse, and I'm not going to focus on the condition, which we're going to talk about more later.
Yeah, and I love this one because people will. I mean, if something fell off the wagon or if we went off people will. But you don't understand. It really happened. Okay, we will argue so strongly for why it went wrong. The excuse you just don't understand. It was okay. Well, that doesn't change anything.
Yeah, we'll protect our position.
Everything stops right there. Leadership causes movement. You want to be in front of, not behind the excuse.
Yeah.
And you mistake resistance for unwillingness. Yeah, because people are going, no, you don't understand it. You think that they're resisting. Yeah, and they are in fact resisting because they don't feel heard.
Right.
They don't feel heard, and that's a big, big deal. When people feel heard, they're much more willing to let go of their death grip on their excuse for why it didn't work.
Yeah.
Then you can get some solution. Then you can get some movement.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And then you treat every objection the same. So as that, there is that and by the way, as a leader, you're encouraging objections. You're encouraging engagement. You're encouraging those kinds of things. And when you're defending your position and you're focusing on the excuse instead of diagnosing the condition or the resistance as unwillingness, you block it with the same answer every time.
Yep. And that oftentimes that looks like this last mistake. I'm the boss. I told you to do this. Don't tell me why it can't be done. Just go do it. And
right.
And they nod their heads. Yes. Okay. I'll go back one more time.
Right.
And compliance is not the same as commitment. Commitment is a consequence of ownership. People will be doing things because they own it, and they will find a solution if they own it.
Oh, yeah.
If they have, well, my boss told me to do this, that idiot.
Yes. And this too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Exactly.
This too shall pass. But yeah, I love those mistakes. And there's more mistakes you can make.
Oh boy.
A couple, one or two in a comprehensive manner. But when we talk about the symptoms and leaders, this is your opportunity to think about in the body of your organization as you're noticing what you notice, right? Notice what you're noticing, the other way around too, both ways.
Yeah.
And I are a good speaker of English. Why does every change take twice as long as planned?
Yep.
And
well, it's because people agreed in meetings to do some things and they do something differently afterwards.
Right.
These are kind of linked as you kind of,
follow
this thread here.
Yeah.
Why do decisions, who's got the monkey? Then the old Harvard Business Review article that goes back to the 1970s, 1980s, something like that. Yeah,
at
who's got the
least.
boss? I've got a problem. Will you fix it for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's lack of ownership again. So you've got compliance, and as soon as something happens because they didn't own it, it comes back to you. You need to fix it. You're the one that made the request. You're the one that wants this done. You're the one that said go forth and conquer. Fix
Right.
it for me.
Right. And I like that. I always like that last one. Why are we having the same conversations again? And that the predicate to to the start of this is, I thought we talked about this.
Yeah. Names and faces have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yes. We talked.
We talked.
I talked at you.
Yep.
We talked. Yeah. Which is,
And all of this is because the mistake takes the stage. The underlying symptomatic cause is not being addressed.
yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what we're looking at here. Leadership is about causing movement. Yeah. And if you're not moving, something is in the way, obviously. And that usually is because we're fixated on a mistake without really understanding what's dynamically in place in the system.
Right.
And a lot of times the mistakes are the same ones that you've seen over and over and over and over again. Again, we're having the same conversation. Again, names and faces have been changed to protect the innocent, but it's the same stuff. We want to get beyond the same stuff.
Yes, we do. That is the goal.
Yeah.
I love this. And I love this quote. In the definition of who Peter is, just slipped my mind, but I was doing research and found Peter, doing some reading on Peter. And people don't resist change. They resist being changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The book, the fifth, I think it was called The Fifth Dimension.
Something like that.
Yeah. It was written back in the latter part of the last century. And it was a big seller. Yeah. Peter's an MIT professor.
Yes.
And organizational development specialist. And he's a fascinating guy. I've had a couple of conversations with him. But to hit to the point here, people don't resist change. They really don't. They can understand the business case for why things are, wanting to be different or why you want things different.
Right.
They don't like to change. They don't like themselves being changed. I've got a pretty good relationship with me. I like doing things my way. You want me to do what? You want me to show up how? Excuse me, I didn't sign on for that.
Yeah. It's funny because the consensus comes in this. I've seen this many times in other organizations, and the consensus comes with changing other people.
Mm-hmm. If only they would.
Yeah. We're going to implement change. Awesome. Nothing happens to me. Therefore, you have at it.
Yep. Go for it. Knock yourself out.
Yes. Until it is me.
Yeah,
now it's a different conversation.
Now, wait a minute. Again, I didn't sign up for that. The problem with change is oftentimes never the change itself. It's the disruption to relationships that change causes.
Right.
And that disruptive dynamic starts with self. My relationship with me. Who am I? Where do I belong in this system?
Right. Yeah. And when we go back to our definition of leadership, we talk about one of the very first things is that leaders cause movement, and movement is change.
Mm-hmm.
You are, as a leader, and leaders, as you listen to this, you are going to create this dynamic in the body of your team. You are going to have people who go, God bless you, change those guys over there. I never liked them anyway.
Yep. And you're going to hear a lot of buts. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't come to me.
Yeah, but don't come to me.
I don't want to be changed.
So, we're talking about leadership here, and it is, not essentially, it is. This is the definition that carries the water in our work with our clients. Influencing, not command and control. Influencing, how your presence. How do you show up? What do the movement that you cause before you ever open your mouth. Influencing others in order to co-create coordinated movement. Co-creation, ownership transfers. It's not compliance. It's commitment. You don't get commitment unless you have ownership. Coordinated movement, again, causing movement, usually into, and ideally and hopefully into unknown territory, because you're trying to do something you've never done before. How do you do that dance? And that thing that you've never done before is what we're calling that's your worthy ideal. It's what matters.
Yeah.
What's really in play here? Why should people care? And that gets
Yeah.
answered personally as well as collectively.
Yeah, it is that inspirational piece. And every time we talk about this, and leaders, you've heard us talk about this. How many power views? 72,
Bumping
5,
80
6,
now.
I don't know, there's somewhere around there. There's a bunch of them. We talk about it in every one of them. And if you leave off that last set of 5 words, in pursuit of a worthy ideal, if you leave that off, leaders or activity influencing others to co-create coordinated movement, and stop there,
Yeah.
you will
For the sake of what?
you can't get to the right. You can't get to the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. And unless you have that in place, when mistakes are made, you're not going to be incentivized, inspired to look at what's really going on here, because that worthy ideal, what matters is kind of way off in the background someplace.
Well,
And now the focus returns to what's the mistake.
Exactly. And it's interesting. I was thinking about that, Blaine, for today, that we're the worthy ideal. Without the worthy ideal in place, excuses abound.
Yep.
Now I have grounds to rebut because I'm not connected to what matters.
Yep. So when we put this in the framing of leadership, there are ways that you can actually position things. And this is a leadership reframe.
Yeah.
We put frames around things. It's context. And it's mindset. Probably the easiest way for us to describe this, leadership mindset is going to work with. You got to reframe your mindset a little bit here.
Right.
People are making excuses. This is what, you'll hear this in both, both Dolan and I work with leaders all over the planet on this. And this is something that leaders will almost universally think, well, people are screwing up. Designed the perfect organization on paper and screwed it up when we put people in it because people make mistakes. Those idiots. We think that people make mistakes. The reality is people are revealing concerns that they don't yet know how to articulate.
Yes.
That's an interesting phraseology. That's an interesting mindset.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll unpack each of these, the 4 conditions. But yeah, I love that sentence. People are revealing concerns they do not yet know how to articulate.
And they and don't know how to articulate. I'm afraid of this. I'm confused about this. I don't know that can I do this? Can we do this?
Sure.
I'm not sure what's in play. Do you have my back? We're moving into uncharted territory here. What happens if I have a misstep?
Yeah.
You're going to call it a mistake and you're going to hand me my head. I don't want to go there.
Do you have my, yeah. So let's unpack them.
Yeah. Tally ho.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yep. And another way to say it.
Yep.
Just, I thought it would be nice to have a pretty picture.
So you look at that one, fear, confusion, capability, trust. It looks like this. Each one of them are fed and are feeding what we end up calling an excuse.
Yep. That is your job as the leader is to be able to hear, and we'll talk about these, is to be able to hear them and know where that domain is, where they are.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier in the very first slide. One of the big 4 things is dealing with the excuse, not with the condition.
Yep. And the condition will land conditions. Yep. It was going to be 1 of 4. Sometimes it's a combination, but you can parse these out.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah. So fear.
Yeah. So fear is, when you hear fear, what if this doesn't work? Right? Maybe we should wait. This, I feel, and if you know the preambles in this, what if? Maybe this feels, fear is emotive. Fear is completely emotive. And what people are telling you, and that's right there on the slide, and leaders, you read this faster than I can tell you this, where people are calculating the consequences. All of these, there's many points where these blend together, but where they are saying, what if it doesn't work? There is doubt. That doubt is, are there punitive consequences?
Yep.
Maybe, and maybe we should wait. That is that moment of, oh, I'm not quite clear. I don't know how this fits. But generally, what I found when I was thinking about this blame was, when you end up with that sentence, maybe we should wait. I don't know my role in this.
Yeah. So there's the role piece. Yeah. Who am I? Where do I belong? But there's also,
Yeah.
what's at risk? Yeah.
Right.
What am I likely to lose? Not so much what am I going to gain, but what am I likely to lose here? And
Yes.
study after study show that people tend to be motivated, and I'll use the word motivated, not inspired.
Yeah.
They're motivated to avoid loss far more frequently than they are motivated to achieve gain.
Yes.
So how I describe something determines how I feel about it. How I feel about it generates my behavior. So if the coding is I'm going to lose something, I'm at risk, there is so fear taps into this emotional state. And that shows up as the behavior, and you're going to get a lot of excuses, a lot of yeah buts.
Mm-hmm.
That's where fear comes into play here. When you're looking at where's the source of this stuff that we're hearing about. I hear one of this doesn't work. Maybe we should, all that stuff. The other side of that is, confusion. I mean, they may be legitimately clear about, what, possible benefit there might be here, but when you start really parsing that out, there's confusion, and the confusion has to do with the conflict between what am I likely to lose, or at least I'm fearful of losing, and what's the possible upside. So there's a confusion dynamic that kind of comes into play. It has to do with which one is going to win here. There's this little battle. I'm not sure what we're doing is going to work. That kind of goes back to the previous slide, but it's also work in service, what matters. Work, produce what we say is important. Okay. I thought the priority changed. How come we're still doing it this way? Yeah, well, there's sequencing that comes into play here. You don't just let go of things and move on. You actually, sometimes in an organization, especially, you're sequencing things.
Yes.
Matriculation process. And then you'll hear, can you explain that again? I mean, again, they haven't landed on what really matters here. And they default to how. The confusion oftentimes is organized around the question of how.
Yeah.
How is past referencing? If you're from a leadership perspective, the future state may not have a how that can be referenced from the past. You now have to develop new skills, knowledge, or information that produces that next step. So when you're hearing these things, message isn't landing. What matters hasn't landed. Direction, does not exist, or the direction that is present is pointing backwards, not forwards.
Yes.
And that is confusing. That's where clarity comes into play. You get these confusing messages that muddy the water.
Yep.
Okay. We said we're going to go here, but we're going to do it the way we've always done it before. Well, huh?
Anybody got lipstick? Hang on.
This pig is looking funky.
Yeah, I know. Get some lipstick. Oh my God. Yeah, and capability. It's funny because there's one of the things with capability is like what you hear. We're not ready, right? These are constraints. It's another word for this. We're not ready. I don't know how. That's a capability, right? We need more training. And it is that when it's funny because those are, in my mind, whenever I've heard those, and we've heard all of these in our career, right? And leaders, you hear these in your careers when these excuses are going on. Hey, we're not ready. Well, okay. Let's define ready. Let's talk about that one word, ready. But it means confidence is not caught up with expectation. On the previous slide, one of the things I love with that is clarity creates confidence. Right. So we've got the 2 C's: clarity, confidence. Now, confidence hasn't caught up with the expectation. There's not, what are we doing? What's expected here?
Yep.
I don't know how to do this. And if we think about if we go all the way back, I was going to use the word hearken, but
Hearken. I
I
love
don't think
it.
I've ever said
Oh,
that word, hearken. If we
we're
hearken back
up-leveling our,
to the
hearken.
to the prior slide. Anyway, we hearken back, but to the definition of leadership, one of the things when we talk about creating movement on your team, movement means generally you're moving towards things you have not done, places you have not been. That is, even when you say we've got an amazing outcome, we're going to do more. More is you've not been to more.
Right.
You've not been there. So confidence hasn't caught up with the expectations. So that piece is not complete. It is not congruent.
Yep.
And if people are asked to perform beyond their current experience, that's a challenge. That's that part where that's the human piece. I don't like change. I know how to do this. I know how to do this well. I polish that part every day. I drive the pallets every day. And now you want me to do something new?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
See, from a leadership standpoint, if we put this in the context of flow, moving into flow, there's a sweet spot because flow happens when people are stretched, but they're not stretched so far that the connection has been broken.
Yeah.
Connection to what was, as well as connection to what could be. Yeah, could be is inspiring. What was, is the capability question. So what could be becomes really enticing. So I'm willing to step into learning something new. I'm willing to find out where is the edge. Until that has happened, that flow state has been leveraged and actually actualized. You'll have people feeling as if they're at risk. Again, fear comes back into play again here.
Right.
Yeah. Am I going to have my head handed to me?
Yes. Yeah.
Which basically is the question around this one. Am I going to have my head? Do you have my back? If you're asking me to step out there into the unknown, who?
Yeah.
I've got evidence that suggests that you didn't support me last time this happened.
This is one of my favorites. Oh, we remember Fred. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we had to bury Fred in the parking lot. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. But it's that, but it to the point, and all of these together, right? Connect into I love your point because they are so tightly interwoven, leaders, as you hear these. You have to be very careful, listen very carefully, which not is listening, you have to hear very carefully. And
great distinction.
Yeah. And trust, when it gets down to trust, we'll see management always says that this will probably change it. Yet this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
Which is clearly an indicator of challenges with trust.
So to that point about listening, listen to the words. We'll see. Listen to the words. Management always says that. What are you hearing underneath that? That's where you want to pay attention as a leader, because that's where your leverage is in terms of being able to cause movement.
Yeah.
In the direction you'd like things to go, not going backwards.
Yeah.
You're always causing movement one way or the other here.
Follow the echo.
Hello, hello, hello. So the mindset here, resistance isn't an indication that anything is broken, that it's gone, to hell in a handbasket. All it is information that if you use it as an indicator that people are wanting to actually move, they just don't know how or why.
Right.
Those two pieces, how or why.
Right.
Then you can actually develop a plan with them, ownership, co-creating ownership. Now you got a way that you can begin to move forward. You use what's present in order to do that. So resistance is information. Every excuse contains, basically information data.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this. So this is the question you asked. Tell me more.
Yeah. And I think you should pause there for a moment. One of the cool things about that, as you were talking about, I was thinking, is that's your opportunity to learn.
Spot on.
Because you can't anticipate. You may go into it thinking, a lot of times in sales, it's called preparing for objections.
Yep.
Right. I'm going I'm going to be ready for all the objections. And going into the meeting, I'm going to be ready for all the objections, which means you're actually entering into that to protect your stance. That's a different, and maybe that's another power of you. But at this point, but this is your opportunity to learn. And I love that third, but recurring objections point to recurring conditions.
Yep. Organizations are just people in relationship. That's all they are. And what's interesting about that and fundamental to understand is that in relationship, people organize around patterned ways of thinking and doing. We have pattern habituated ways that we do things. These patterns, they show up in recurring conditions and recurring objections. Again, names and places have been changed to protect the innocent, but it's the same thing over and over. What's the recurring condition in the system?
Right.
So leads to point number 4 there. Your job is to diagnose before you go into saying, let's do this or let's go there. Diagnose first. Yeah. The symptom is the symptom of something else, causative. You want to understand what that is, because until you understand what that is, you're going to keep repeating what was.
Yeah. So well said. Yeah. well said. And then understanding creates influence. Anyway, these are the components of your mindset, which gives you that opportunity to shift from that defensive, I'm going to deal with the excuse, now to I'm going to deal with leading. And you're leading through change. Excuses are merely an opportunity to present change.
Yep. That's all they are. So how do you actually do this? This is what we want to pay attention to here.
Yeah. So we'll trade up. So listening for patterns.
Yep.
One thing that I like about this, one complaint is an opinion, repeated complaints are a signal. And I'll go quick, because one of the things that in my career, one of the parts of any organization, there's a thing called the customer service department. Right.
Yep.
And one of my favorite things in the customer service department is to ask that this question: is this one complaint, or is this a repeated signal? Because you have to deal with them independently. The way you deal with an opinion is one solution. The way you deal with a repeated signal is another solution. And a lot of times as a leader, we tend to lose track of asking that question because we're in the heat of the moment.
Yep. And it's easy to shoot the messenger at that point.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. So
Doctor?
the idea here, specifically around repeated complaints being a signal, what's the condition that's in play? It's either going to be fear, confusion, capability, or trust.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's a mashup of one or more of these, but it's always going to have a source, and the source will be one of these 4.
Yeah. Always.
So take the time to uncover that. You'll break the pattern. And as soon as you can interrupt the pattern, now you can interject something new. As long as the pattern's running, anything that you try to put in is going to get bounced out, because the pattern has that much power.
Yeah.
Now it'll boing, it kicks it out. It's got a force field around it.
Yeah, it does. And you can hear it when it happens.
Yeah. Boing.
Yeah. And I like that. I like the next one too, which is don't waste time. Don't waste energy fighting symptoms. Don't. You're wasting it. It is a fool's errand.
But you don't understand. Yeah, you're right. I probably don't. Rather than
I know. Exactly. I understand. How dare you tell me I don't understand? Do you know how long I've been doing this?
I'm going to tell you just how wrong you are and how right I am about this.
Oh, yeah. Things I've never heard in my career. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
So one of the ways that you begin from a behavioral standpoint, you're a model. Basically, you become an exemplar. As a leader, you are always a symbol of that which you say is important to have.
Right.
That which is important to be. You're a symbol. People support what they see working. So when you begin to step into this dynamic and you're looking to seek solution at the cause level rather than address the symptom, people begin to go, maybe there's something here that I can also do myself. And
Yes.
yeah, you're always developing people. You're always in the process of developing people. And that's one of the government, this is the way that from a mindset perspective, you understand as a leader, people will, you're looking to develop the people in your organization. One way you do that is to model what it is you'd like to have them having, doing, or being. People support what they see as working, so you show up. You show up.
Yeah. Love that. Just love that. So who cares?
I do.
Right. But look, this is I love when we get to these slides because it's like so why the heck does this matter? Why are these two guys on here talking about like this about excuses? Well, it matters because these things shift. When you understand resistance and excuses are a form, it is a explicit form of resistance. There's implicit and explicit resistance. It's an explicit resistance. There are things that happen. When you understand it and you think about it in those four domains, you end up with in the situation where now decisions accelerate. Now we've dealt with this. Now we understand and we are in alignment, not disalignment or unalignment. I don't know, realignment. But now decisions accelerate. Your alignment improves. Trust is going to grow. Execution, you can now begin to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, and the net of it is at that point it has stopped being a people problem. And if you look at those 4 bullet points, when people, leaders understand resistance, decisions accelerate because alignment has improved. Alignment has improved because trust has grown. Trust has grown in a way that allows execution to become predictable, and that's when it has stopped being a people problem, and it has now become evidence of a strong leadership system.
Right.
Leaders cause movement. When you're doing this well, people in the organization begin to step into the role of leader, not the title of leader necessarily, but the role. Leaders cause movement. They recognize, and this is where ownership is transferred. They now begin behaving as if they are leading that little piece of the organization that is their, that's got their thumbprint on it. There's agency here. I am in charge. I am doing something. There's no excuse involved. It's now, what can I make happen here? That's a leadership system that doesn't require on a title or a place on the org chart. That's a big difference.
So, God, that is so important. Your leadership has to be that system.
When you learn to read the signal, you remove the conditions that create resistance. You're not going to get rid of resistance, because people are squirrely.
Right.
On paper, this looks like the ideal organization. We screwed it up when we put people in it. People resist being changed. They don't necessarily, Peter Senge, they don't resist change. They resist being changed. When you learn to read the signal, you begin to remove the conditions, and you start inviting people to look at how can they grow. Growth involves change, and they begin to embrace it rather than going, oh my God, we're going to die.
Right.
So that's the big win here. And essentially, I mean, we've got a leadership pyramid, leadership universe that we work off of. And when you start tapping into the way that this actually can work, aliveness is you now have an organization that is functioning as if it's alive. It's vibrant. It's vital. The spirit of the organization is now present. All of this stuff starts to kick into gear. So that's the big win. Creativity, innovation. People are inspired. All of this stuff kind of comes into play here, not as soft aphorisms, but as something that is tangibly present in the system.
Yeah.
That's what we're after.
Love that. And questions? There's leaders as you read through these, and I'll go through them quickly, but there are which category shows up most often on my team? These are your questions to ask yourself. And hopefully, leaders, you have a habit of periodically asking yourself questions. A lot of times we forget about that. Which Which category? What shows up most? Is it fear? Is it capability? What's showing up? Where am I reacting to excuses instead of diagnosing conditions? We are men and women, we are wired different, but we are wired similarly to leap to defense first, condition second. So
Yep.
men more, not defend men, but we have a tendency to want to fix it first and defend our position. And then what recurring objection have I normalized? So I've got an objection that I get, and I say this all the time. I've made this my normal response. And that's when your team says, yeah, we know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
Take it to the boss, whatever that means. Take it to when people call me boss, it's like, no.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, that whole notion of recurring objections. People will give you what they perceive you're willing to settle for. I mean, that's essentially what we're looking at here. So if you buy into the story, reason, or excuse, that's what you're going to end up with.
It's a rule.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. Last two, you go for it.
Yeah. Which commitment have I made that my team has not fully trusted? So I've said yes, and they kind of go, yeah, not so sure. I heard you say the words, but people will give you, again, what they perceive you're willing to settle for. If you have said yes, but you waffle in the way that you actually now behave, or you're giving them reason to doubt, okay, there's where you're going to be going off the rails. What resistance am I calling attitude when it's actually fear, confusion, capability, or trust that's in play here? Resistance will happen anytime you try to implement change in an organization. Just know that that's going to happen. It's not an attitude. It's not malevolent. It's not intentional. It's subconscious. People resist being changed because they're afraid, because they're confused, because they don't know that they have the capability or doubt that they have the capability, because they're not sure that they're not going to have their head handed to them if they make a mistake. So resistance is a signal. You want to welcome it. It's kind of like, wow, this is cool. Now I know where I can go.
Yeah, and have that conversation. As you were saying that, I was thinking, and leaders, if you're in that room and change is being implemented or an idea is being discussed and resistance is not occurring, you got a problem.
You got a problem. Absolutely.
That's all. You got a problem. So seek resistance.
Seek resistance. Yeah. Resistance, another word for that is conflict. I mean, it's kind of like you got people bumping heads here. Conflict is your friend.
We want that.
Learn how to use it. Learn how to use it.
We want that. We want that big time. Excuses are symptoms, conditions are causes. Leadership begins when you learn the difference. And I don't know who said that, but we'll make it up. We'll pretend Blaine and I said that.
We'll credit you with this one.
There we go. Perfect.
All right. What we're looking at here. So that is our conclusion for this week's Power of You. Got almost 80 of them now. I think we're really close to 80 of these. So
we are.
Feel free to check them out. And they are a curated library, or they are in a curated library. We are putting together a table of contents here because we've got 80. It's hard to track which ones might be applicable here. So we're putting together a little catalog. So feel free to go to lead.blainebartlett.com/power of you, and you'll be able to access these things. And we will see you next week at 10:30 on Tuesday morning Pacific time.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Dr. Bartlett.
Dr. White. We're out of here.
Always good.
Here we go.